Hi, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I am back with my coaching reality series called From a Coach's Perspective. Today, I want to list off the 5 things that I stopped doing in order to help improve my physique. Now, in 25 plus years of working in gyms myself and training the general population, I can tell you right now, I've made a lot of mistakes. Whether those mistakes were with my training, with my supplementation, with my dietary nutrition, or with my rest and recovery, I've made pretty much every mistake out there. And the reason I'm putting out these coaching reality episodes is to help people from making the same mistakes that I made in order to save you time, effort, and money. All right. And in order to help you fast track your results. I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made. I don't want you to waste your time and your effort in the gym. Okay? I don't want you to spend ridiculous amounts of money on supplements that don't work. And that's why I put these coaching reality episodes out in addition to my no filter Q&A on Mondays, just in order to help people who are maybe brand new to the industry and don't know anything about lifting weights, don't know anything about dietary nutrition, don't know anything about taking vitamins, minerals, supplements, and they need someone that's going to be very transparent and very honest with them and cut the bullshit and just give you straight answers. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here for people who are beginners. I'm here for people who are advanced lifters, intermediate, and I'm also here to learn as well. And that's why I'm never saying that I know everything because I don't know everything. Like I said, I'm going to give you 5 mistakes that I made over the course of the past 25 plus years that took me some time to learn why not to do these things. And what I've learned from doing these mistakes, I've had setbacks, I've had injuries, I've wasted time in the gym where I didn't see results doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. And in order to help fast track my clients' results, I avoid these steps now. And in order to hopefully help you fast track your results, I want to help you avoid these steps, avoid these mistakes. So I'm going to list off the 5 things that I stopped doing in order to help improve my physique. And hopefully that will add some benefits to your training, your nutritional plan, your supplement protocol. All right. So we're going to list off number 1, the number one thing that I stopped doing to help improve my physique. Train to failure on every set. If you've been watching the no filter Q&As for the past few weeks, you notice I'm getting a lot of questions on training to failure. And I always tell people, stop training to failure. Do not train to failure. I do not recommend training to failure. But I'll tell you right now, when I first started lifting weights, I trained to failure because I thought that was the way that you had to grow muscle. I thought that was the way to, truly exhaust yourself in the gym. Hell, I thought that was the way to be a man, right? You had to go all out, be super sore, and just like barely survive your workouts. And what I learned by that was I was burning out. My adrenal glands were being fatigued. I was in overdrive. I was putting unnecessary strain on my joints, my tendons, and my ligaments. And I wasn't stimulating, I should say, proper muscle bellies. I wasn't growing. So all this train to failure, whether it was squats and bench press, seated rows, deadlifts, barbell rows, you name it, I did it. All I got from that, honestly, was burnout and a few injuries. And what I learned from that was like, why do I need to train to failure? And I watched other guys who were growing, developing better physiques than me, and they weren't trained to failure because I could tell. I watched some, I'm like, yeah, that person still has at least like 1 or 2 good reps left in them, but they would stop short. And what I noticed is they would still grow. So after watching people train like that with good form, good technique, not taking a set to failure, not risking form for, ballistic repetitions where they will risk injury, those people were actually growing. They were recovering properly. And so I copied that. And I'm like, why don't I start applying that instead of me over here killing myself, destroying my joints, destroying my ligaments and tendons? And who knows, if I continue to do that, maybe I would have stopped training by the time I'm 25, 26, like a lot of guys who started in their teenage years because of all the injuries they had up. All right. And here I am now at 40, injury free, no serious injuries whatsoever. So I really attribute that to not training to failure. And fortunately for me, I learned that at a young age, about maybe 3 or 4 years into my training, as to not to train to failure. Okay. So this is why I always advise clients and anyone who's watching this, do not train to failure. Give yourself 75, 80% in intensity. Hell, you could throw drop sets in at the end of a set if you want, burn out with a lighter weight, but keep the tension on the muscles. Do not keep the tension on the joints, the tendons, and the ligaments, because that's going to lead to injury, which long-term injury could lead you to stop training altogether. All right. I've seen it time and time again. Not to mention burnout, adrenal fatigue. So the number one thing I stopped doing, train to failure. The number 2 thing that I stopped doing to help improve my physique, constantly changing exercises. Now, when I first started training, I was trying to learn every exercise I possibly could. And a lot of that was just because I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to know everything about anatomy and physiology. I had no aspirations to be a personal trainer whatsoever. I just was selfish. I wanted to grow my physique. So I'd read Arnold and Schwarzenegger's encyclopedia book. I'd work with bodybuilders at my local gym, and everyone had different pieces of advice and tips. And I just took it all in like a sponge. Now, that was actually very helpful for me later down the road when I did start to become a coach, personal trainer, because I had all these exercises in my database up here. So I knew how to, build a better back. I knew how to build a chest. I understood how the anatomy and physiology played a role when it came to exercise selection and sequence. Okay. So that all helped me, but it didn't do much when it came to building my own physique because I was always trying to try something new. And so because I never stuck with anything long enough, I never saw results. And so like one week I'd be doing like a chest workout where I'd start with an incline barbell bench press, then flat barbell bench press, then decline barbell bench press, then I'd do some dumbbell flies. The following week I'd switch it up to maybe incline dumbbell incline dumbbell bench press, flat dumbbell bench press, decline dumbbell bench press, and I would do some cable flies. And I'm not saying that that's bad, but I would constantly switch it. And then I would try something else. Maybe I'll do the pec deck. Maybe I'll do some hammer strength machines. And all of a sudden, like I'm never sticking with anything long enough to see what's working and what doesn't. All right. And so again, that took some time for me to learn is like you have to find a routine that's working for you, stick with that routine until it stops working for you. Because I don't believe, and I've talked about this before, that every exercise is for every person. Some exercises work better for different people, tall people versus short people, right? Intermediate versus advanced trainers, right? Someone who's a complete beginner, someone who has a physical limitation, someone who has a chronic injury. So not every exercise out there is the greatest exercise for every single person. That's why I say, when people say squats are the best exercise, I disagree with that. Squats work well for me. They don't work well for everybody. Everyone thinks deadlifts are a great exercise. I don't do deadlifts. I don't think they're that great. So my point is here is that don't be afraid to try new exercises, but don't constantly switch up your workout routine because if you're constantly looking to change up your workout routine, you're never going to see what works. You're never sticking with something long enough. And I talked about this on my No Filter Q&A earlier this week about people who go from coach to coach. Bodybuilders who do a show, they don't place well, they go to the next coach, they go to the next coach. Or even in the fitness industry where I work, I get people all the time who just go from coach to coach. I want to see what this person is doing. I want to see what this class teaches. I'm like, that's fine if that's what your personality and that's what you want to do. But I always say, give it at least 6 months. Like commit to it. All right. And then see how you're feeling, see how you're progressing. Because sometimes it's not necessarily the workout you're doing, it could be your intensity is too low or your intensity is too high. You're not recovering properly. You're not eating properly. That's a big one. And you're not resting and recovering. Like I said, you're not resting and recovering. So that's going to equate to muscle atrophy, right? You're going to start losing muscle. You're going to go into a catabolic state. So instead of just looking at the workout, look at everything else first. Okay. Because sometimes, more than often than not, it's not necessarily the workout that needs to be changed. It's the dietary nutrition, it's the supplement protocol, and it's the rest of recovery. Okay. So the second thing I stopped doing was constantly changing my workouts. The third thing that I stopped doing in order to build a better physique was chasing PRs instead of muscle contraction. Yeah, I was definitely guilty of this, especially when I was 15, 16. I was going for PRs in the gym almost every workout. I thought that was the best way to grow, is that I had to lift heavier weights every time I walked in that gym. And it wasn't until I started training with a local bodybuilder, he was older than me, and he saw what I was doing, and he straight up asked me, he's like, "Do you want to be a power lifter or do you want to be a bodybuilder?" And I said, "Well, I want to be a bodybuilder. I want to, I'm like, I didn't want to compete as a bodybuilder, but I wanted to build a body, and I knew to do that, I had to train like a bodybuilder." So like, well, if you want to look like a bodybuilder, why are you training like a power lifter? I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I didn't want to look like a power lifter. And no offense to power lifters, but if you look at a power lifter, a bit of a belly, kind of stocky, not real muscle density definition, more just big because that is their sport. I'm like, well, no, I don't want to look like that. I'd rather look lean and have sculpted muscles. It's like, right. So why are you chasing PRs? And I just realized like it was all ego based because I felt like I need to lift heavier every single time. And he said something to me that I say to my clients almost every session I say this to a client. Your muscles have no clue how much weight you're lifting. They don't have eyes, no idea. So whether if you're struggling with 5 pound dumbbells, guess what? That's going to stimulate muscle growth. Okay. Anything that challenges the muscle, whether it's 5 pounds or 500 pounds, is going to stimulate muscle growth. 500 pounds is not necessarily going to stimulate more muscle growth if someone's already being challenged at 5 pounds. It won't. Okay. So you have to remember that if you're being challenged with a weight that's 75 to 85%, and it's a good pump, you're really feeling it, great. You're going to grow from that. You are. Okay. So there's no reason to be constantly chasing PRs in the gym. Again, that's a metric that I feel, unless you are a powerlifter, it really has no bearing whatsoever. I understand why powerlifters chase PRs for sure. That's their sport. But if you're not a powerlifter, and you're going to the gym because you really do want to improve your health, you want to transform your physique, my recommendation is to stop chasing PRs. Focus on the contractions. There's so many times where I'm doing a workout where I know for a fact I'm lifting lighter on one workout that I did the week earlier. That doesn't mean that I'm going backwards. It doesn't mean that I'm losing muscle. It just means that maybe that day my muscles are feeling better with a lighter weight. Maybe I didn't sleep that well. Maybe I didn't eat as much. Maybe I'm not hydrated. Whatever the reason is. Maybe I had a great sleep. Maybe I'm really hydrated. Just the body is the body. And it's not always black and white. Some days are going to be good workouts. Some days are going to be bad workouts. Some days are going to be heavy workouts. Some days are going to be light workouts. And you just have to learn to go with it, right? Don't try to fight it. And I always tell people that when the gym, I'm like, listen to your body. All right. Your body will tell you, will lead you through the workout. If an exercise doesn't feel right on that particular day, do not continue to do that exercise. There have been times where I'll go into the gym and I've been having some issues with my lat lately. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a pull down workout. After two or three sets of pull downs, I'm like, you know what? This still doesn't feel good. Something's feeling wrong, and it's not a good pain. I'm gonna switch it up for shoulders today. We'll get back to lats later on this week. Go home, recover, put some topical adhesive on there, something to recover, maybe my massager. That helps. All right. So you have to really pay close attention to your body. And again, if you really want to grow a physique and you want to sculpt the physique, stop chasing PRs. They're irrelevant to transforming your physique. They really are. All right. The fourth thing that I stopped doing in order to build a better physique, eating cheat meals as rewards. I don't even do cheat meals anymore. The only time I might do a cheat meal is if like, Haley and I go out to a restaurant, there's really nothing healthy on the menu, but usually I can find something pretty clean on the menu to eat. And that's really the only time I'll have a so-called cheat meal. But it's not because I'm craving it. I'm not rewarding myself with it. It just happens to be that we're out, maybe we're running some errands and we're at a restaurant. That's it. Or we're going on a date and we're going to a restaurant. That's it. So it's not like, oh, I did a really hard leg workout, so I'm going to go have a pizza. I always tell my clients, you're not a dog. What do we do with animals when they do something right? Your dog does something right, you give it a treat, right? That's how you reward it. So if you want to compare yourself to a dog, keep rewarding yourself with food. All right. I don't want to compare myself to a dog though. Okay. Nothing against dogs, but I don't want to compare myself to a dog. So I'm not going to reward myself with food. And in the past, what I would do, especially when I would get ready for competitions, I'd give myself one cheat meal a week, which would be ridiculous. It'd be like a massive cheat meal. It'd be like an entire pizza and maybe some ice cream, or it would be a whole thing of sushi, like all you can eat sushi and then maybe some cookies. And I felt like crap for like 2 or 3 days after. I was bloated. I felt lethargic. I was irritable. No. And I learned for me, I'm like, I don't need cheat meals. I don't want cheat meals. I don't like the way it made me feel. It made me feel like I was hungover for like 3 days. So I stopped doing them. And my body responded really good, like really well. Now I know sometimes cheat meals do work for people. I've got people on my roster that love to have cheat meals. I'm like, great, because it's more of a mental break for them than a physical. I'm like, great. If it works for you, do it. I always tell my clients, one cheat meal a week is not going to kill you. For some people, actually, though, it does set them back. So I say, you know what, maybe you don't need to do cheat meals. Okay, you can just do a refeed meal, which is a clean meal from your plan, maybe just more. Don't even portion it out. Have as much as you like peanut butter or oats, whatever it is. Okay, so that was one thing that I learned for me that worked really well was because as soon as I stopped giving myself cheat meals, my body responded really well. And I think the reason for that was because remember how I mentioned after I have a cheat meal, I would feel like very lethargic, kind of foggy, bloated, hungover, unmotivated. My workouts weren't as good the next day or even the day after that. It really took me like 2 or 3 days to recover from a cheat meal. That's how sensitive I was to these foods. So as soon as I took them out, my body responded really well. I was training better, I was sleeping better, I was recovering better, and I grew better. So I took cheat meals out completely, worked wonders for my body. I'm not suggesting that you take them out completely yourself, but I am telling you that I think it's a slippery slope and it's a bad idea to reward yourself with food when you've done something good for your body. If you've done a full week of workouts, you haven't missed a workout, you haven't missed a cardio session, you've dialed in your diet completely clean, reward yourself with like a new gym outfit. All right. That's a great way to reward yourself. Are you, say your goal was to lose, I don't know, 5 pounds in a month and you hit that goal. reward yourself again with a gym outfit or reward yourself with maybe a mini vacation or a mini spa day, whatever it is. Okay. You can go to the spa for a day or book a massage. You don't need to have a cheat meal or you don't need to have like a crazy cheat day or any of that stuff. So yeah, for me, that worked wonders. I'm not suggesting that you do it, but I know for a lot of my own clients, I would say about 50% of my clients like cheat meals and the other 50 don't do them at all. They don't. Because they feel the same way I do. They're like, yeah, I could take it or leave it. If I'm out with a family dinner or something like that, I'm not going to be rude. I'm going to have whatever they're serving me. But yeah, there's my cheat meal. That's it. Okay. But it's not something that I like plan around and dream about and think about this meal, what it's going to be, where I'm going to have. No, I feel like that's a good way to lead to eating disorders. All right. And the fifth and final thing that I stopped doing that helped improve my physique, comparing myself on social media. When I first got on social media, God, we're going back to like 2007, so Facebook. I honestly didn't really pay too much attention. If you look at my years on Facebook in 2007 through 2010, I wasn't very active whatsoever. Then Instagram comes around what 2012, 13. I don't get on it till about 2015. I'm always late to the game on these things. I was trying to actually fight it for the longest time, but then I realized social media can be used as a tool and an asset for my business, and I'm very fortunate that I do use it now as an asset because it's helped my business grow substantially over the years. So I'm not someone who hates on social media. However, when I first got on social media, there were times where I'd question myself, where I would see other people who I'd be like competing in a bodybuilding show, and I would see progress photos from them, like guys who I was going up against. And I was like, oh my God, they're looking so lean. They're looking so big. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm 5 steps behind. I better do another hour of cardio every day. I better start going to the gym twice a day with weights. And I did do that. I honestly did do that. In 2015, I probably overtrained like crazy for like 2 or 3 shows because I was comparing myself to other bodybuilders. I wasn't comparing myself to the average person at the beach with their shirt off. I was comparing myself to guys who I was going up against on stage. And what I realized is that's not good because I didn't know anything about filters. I didn't know anything about lighting. I didn't know that people can have perfect camera angles because whenever I would take a photo for my coach back in the day, it'd just be in my bathroom in the lights, boxers, done. I didn't care. I just sent it off. So I didn't realize that a lot of these photos were filtered and, they were getting the perfect light and the perfect angle. So when I did see a lot of these guys on stage, they didn't look bad, but they did not look like they did on Instagram, not even close. So what I learned by that was a lot of people only like to show the highlight reels on their Instagram posts and their Instagram reels. And listen, I understand nobody wants to put up a bad photo of themselves, although I don't really care. I put up bad photos of myself all the time. Or I take screenshots or videos of me and I could care less. But I understand that a lot of people do not want to put up photos that are not very flattering. I get that. But I always think the worst thing you could do, especially if you're someone in the fitness industry, and especially if you're trying to present your physique, is filter your photos. And I'm so against that for especially when people are like if they're fitness influencers and they're trying to showcase or their body, their physique that they've built, and yet there's filters on it, or they used AI imaging. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so bad because you're saying that it's almost like you're lying to people. And I have clients that send me progress photos in their weekly check-ins and they filter them. Like, you can't filter your progress photos. I need to see what you look like. Like, oh yeah, I know, but I didn't look that good in the morning and the lighting. I'm like, it's just me. I'm the only one that sees it. I don't put anyone that works with me knows I don't put progress photos up on my Instagram. I don't do that. I don't put transformation photos up. I respect my client's privacy. Now, if a client tags me and I'll share it in my story, absolutely. But I'm not one of those trainers that does that because I really respect the privacy of my clients. And not everyone wants a photo of them in their underwear. Even if they have made a drastic change, they don't really want themselves broadcast all over social media for my marketing. Okay, so I'll take the testimonial and the Google review before I put up a photo. Okay, I'll say, "Well, I'm not going to put up those photos, but if you don't mind leaving me a review, I'd really appreciate it." Okay, but to get back to the comparing yourself on social media, I feel that can be detrimental to so many people. And this is why I had a question about this earlier this week on a No Filter Q&A about someone who compared themselves to other guys in the gym. I'm like, you have to stay in your own lane. Stop focusing on what other people are doing. So whenever I see anything on social media now, I've learned over the years, it took me a while to learn this, but I don't really think social media is real. It's fake. So I don't get mad when someone makes a comment to me. I don't get upset when I see a post that's negative. Like I don't get into a fight with somebody online. And I don't compare myself to others on social media because I'm like, To me, it's all fake. Even when I put out, it's real stuff, but it's not the real world. The real world is here, right? It's not in here. It's not online. That's not the real world. So people do only, I don't want to say everyone, but most people just put the highlights up on their social media. And I get it. I understand that. But if you're someone who is comparing yourselves to someone's highlight reel, that can be very detrimental to you because then you're going to get discouraged. "Oh, I don't want to go to the gym. I mean, I've been training for 15 years and this person's only been training for 2 years. Look at them. Look at me." Right? But behind the scenes, you don't know what's going on. Filtered photos, best lighting, right? That person may have dieted perfectly for that one photo shoot. Who knows? Okay, they could be on a PED cycle, peptides, whatever it is. So, or they could just be a genetic freak. Who cares? But whatever it is, you need to stop comparing yourself because when you compare yourself to others who you feel are doing better than you or who've amounted to more than you when it comes to growing a physique, building a better physique, it might discourage you. It might motivate you, but for a lot of people, it does discourage them. And I've had this conversation with clients saying, I look at other girls online and they look so good. I'm like, yeah, they look good. But I mean, I don't know why anyone would put up a whole bunch of makeup and their hair done at 6 in the morning to go to a workout. So I feel like there's a lot of like setting the scene right perfectly for the perfect selfie, the perfect image, and all this stuff. I'm like, just take the goddamn photo and move on. And that's what I do in the gym. I mean, when you watch my videos on Instagram, I don't look cute. I'm sweating, I'm grunting, I'm making like constipation faces, and I don't care. I'm putting out this to show people this is what a workout looks like. It's not pretty. There's nothing pretty about my workouts. Go on my Instagram, watch my Instagram reels with the workouts I do. Nothing's pretty, okay, at all. So when I stopped comparing myself on social media, I should say, working out became fun again because now I was just comparing myself to me. And as far as competing, I still competed. Well, I did a show 2 months ago. I couldn't tell you. I mean, funny enough, after I did the show, a lot of those competitors I trained against added me on Instagram. I met people backstage, all friendly guys, women. So yeah, you meet people, you add them on Instagram, and I like their posts. They like my posts. But I'm not going to start if I were to compete again, for example. I would not be comparing myself with them. I wouldn't. And just there's no reason to because whatever I see on Instagram, I know it doesn't translate to the stage. Okay, and we always talk about the Instagram bodybuilders, and they look great in photos, but when it comes to the stage, they look good, but they might not look the exact same. And that's why for me, like when I'm getting ready for a show, I never put any photos up. I'm like, no, there's no reason to. Because I also feel that when you're getting ready for a bodybuilding competition or if you're dieting for something, you have diet brain and you don't feel the best. You may not like really like the way you look. So I don't put up anything. And I just stay silent. And that works for me. All right. So that was the fifth thing I stopped doing, and it worked really well. So those are the five things that I stopped doing that helped improve my physique in the past 25 plus years. Right. There's a few other things out there, but those are the five major things that I use. And I felt they have really helped me both physically and mentally to continue to train, to continue to enjoy this train, not feel so stressed if I miss a meal or if I have a so-called cheat meal or if I miss a workout. Like I'm not worried about that. All right. Because now I just have fun in the gym. I have fun with my diet. I enjoy the foods I eat. I don't care if I miss one meal or if I don't portion out every single meal exactly. I'm over that. All right. Because that OCD mentality can really lead to a destructive eating disorder. And same thing in the gym, it can lead to overtraining, give you body dysmorphia. So you have to be very careful, very mindful of this path that you could go down. Because once you start going down that path, that could lead to other things, anorexia, bulimia. Like these are things you really have to watch, okay? You don't want to have an IBS issue that's been caused by poor dieting, poor nutrition for 5, 10 years, or have hormonal imbalances because you haven't been eating correctly. Okay. So be very wary of that. Anyway, that's it for this week's Coaching Reality episode. This episode will be going up on Wednesday, July 1st, Canada Day. Happy Canada Day to all my Canadian clients. And again, if you have any questions pertaining to your nutritional plan, workout program, supplements you are currently taking, not taking, or considering taking, please feel free to contact me at nick@foreverfitperformance.com, or you can DM me your questions on my Instagram at @fitcosgrove_. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting my YouTube channel, my online coaching business, as well as my in-house personal training business. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. It motivates me to keep pushing out content. And if you haven't checked out this week's No Filter Q&A, it's up right now. It dropped on Monday. Check it out. Please like and subscribe. I do appreciate all the support. Thank you all, and I will see you all next week. Bye for now.